Next one. Okay, so one of the main agendas for today's talk is mass placements. So all of you would have heard this term being thrown around at some point. What is it? Is it good for us or something that we should avoid? All these and other questions will be answered today. So let's look at a few mass companies that will be visiting VIT in your placement season. The companies being Infosys, TCS, Cognizant, Capgemini, and MINDTREE. So all these companies have various different selection processes such as NQT and CodeVita for TCS, InfiTQ for Infosys, and other few selection process as well, which will be covered in detail later on in the session. So let's look at a few numbers right now. Next one. So this year for our placements, this is what has happened. 3,500 plus offers have been offered to students from VIT. 2,000 students have been placed in mass placement companies, and all these have come from three companies, namely Infosys, TCS, and Cognizant. So next one, next slide. Okay, so should you be worried about these numbers? I mean, any company that recruits in such huge numbers, would you be willing to work there? Would you have a certain progression in your career? So all these are questions that would naturally come to our minds. And should you be worried? The short answer is no, and the long answer is also no. So the reason being is uh, the only reason you might not want to work here is probably because the salary package is relatively lesser compared to a dream or a super dream job. But then again, these are only mass placement companies. So even if you get a mass placement company, you're still eligible to sit for a dream placement and internship, and also a super dream placement and internship. So if anything at all, these mass placement companies just serve as a backup to fall upon should you not get any other company in the future. So our advice from Brevity would be sit for these companies if you're not yet been placed. Okay, next slide. Next slide, Vignesh. Okay, so moving on, let's look at what has been covered on Brevity so far. Next one. So in our very first session, we introduced everyone to our ecosystem and how it can be used to maximum efficiency. We have made FAQ videos where we talked about the whole placement process that goes on at VIT, the types of interviews that you'll be facing and how you can ultimately crack them. And we also release videos where we give you tips about building your CV or your resume, projects and internships that you can build to highlight and project value onto your resume. How many of them, when, what tech stack do you use, what projects do you build upon, how do you sell them? All these have been covered in our FAQ videos, and if you missed any of them, they will forever be up on our YouTube channel and you can always check them out anytime. So before we begin, Robin will be answering or talking about a few questions that have been circulated in the form. So over to you, Robin.
Thank you, Akash. So a few days back, we had circulated a Google form and we asked you guys if you had any particular questions to ask us. And some of the most frequently asked questions were about projects and hackathons, how to get internship offers, and what are the most important skills for a CSE student, and so on. So since there was, to explain this, it's gonna take a bit of time. So we actually have dedicated a separate video which is gonna answer all of these questions. And we brought in Sainath, who has won like several hackathons and he's got several internship offers as well. So we'll be launching this video in the next couple of days. So if you have a question about hackathons and internships, be sure to check out this video. So if you have any questions related to this, you can check out this video. And after that, if you still have any more questions, you can ask us on Discord. Now, the second question, which was really asked a lot, was about graphs and dynamic programming. So over to Ashwin, who will be talking about the same.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so actually in the form, a lot of people told us that during their data structures preparation, they had difficulties in graph and dynamic programming. And at this moment, we have the content for graphs. And we are planning to conduct sessions for you on whosoever faces difficulties with graph. We'll be covering all the basics to moderate level, the level which generally the placement super dream companies demand. So what we thought of is we will be circulating a WhatsApp group link soon, where anyone who has faced even a little bit discomfort in graphs, they can join, and then we can plan the sessions accordingly. Like, because it is your fat time, right? So I thought, we can have discussions in the group and then plan accordingly, and then you can join. So that's it. This is a small announcement. Over to Sayaditya for off-campus placements.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. You are audible.
Okay. Okay, let's talking about off-campus. Like there are a lot of opportunities when you explore the web, right? So as in our previous uh, presentation we had mentioned, internet is vast world. So there you can explore up to a lot of opportunities. So some websites I would like to point out which will help you explore those opportunities in a pinpoint fashion. So those are LinkedIn. So this one website will help you a lot in building your profile. Like there is a lot of sections in this where you can fill up your profile and make your profile solid for upcoming companies whoever want to see and recruit you. And also there is a feature in LinkedIn called internship searching or job searching. So based on your filters, so you will be able to search for your internships. Like if you, for example, if you are interested in image processing internship, or if you are interested in MLAI internship, so you can have a filter for that, and the duration for those internships also you can put. And based on that, throughout India, this will give you a um, like a overview of what the internship opportunities are there throughout India, and you can apply for the same. Next, we'll be looking at some of the websites where we can apply for apart from LinkedIn. There is another website called InstaHire, which is also another website where you can look for job opportunities as well as internship ones. And another website, Big Shift. And also I would like to point out Glassdoor is like basically you can see the company reviews, and with what are the job opportunities, like what are the jobs available in each company, and what are the job description for them, and you can see what the salary for each job you are seeking for. You can see all of those details in Glassdoor. So they have quite a good system there. So you guys can check that out. Also, Naukri.com is there. It has been there for almost maybe 2 or 3 decades by now. So this Naukri.com website gives us another similar kind of experience as the LinkedIn. So here also, like as you can see, my profile is there. So you can update your profile, and you can probably seek for those. Even this gives you another opportunity to search for the internships in what in what passion you have. Like if you are interested in MLA, you can go for that. You can just use filter here as well. So that Naukri website also is another good website for searching jobs and internships. Over to you, Ashwin, for the rest of the presentation.
Okay. So as Sai actually said, where you can apply for jobs, now come that how you will get shortlisted in those jobs. See, whenever you're applying for jobs, it's a pretty obvious thing that they will ask for your resume. So once you have made your resume, your resume will be going through something called the application tracking system from the company. So what they will do is they will track your application, and they will look for some keywords such as how many research papers you have published or how many hackathons you have won. We will be seeing soon on how to build a resume from Vignesh. But as far as this thing goes, It's basically once you apply, then they will be having a specific computer software that tracks your application and gives you a threshold score. Now, once you're clearing that this application tracking round, then the HR or the company member will see your resume, and from there you will get a company confirmation email. And once you get a company confirmation email, then the company hiring process will start. It generally happens that you will be having a test which includes various topics like data structures or OS networking, including puzzles, which Robin will be explaining you soon. And once you clear the company test, then you have to have an interview rounds where they will be asking again puzzles and a lot more correlated questions. And once the interview rounds are done, you will be having a group discussion on a current affairs topic. Let's say demonetization was very, very famous 2-3 years before. So like that. And once you clear a group discussion, you'll be having a HR round to check your attitude. Now, once you're done with this, then if the company is satisfied with your performance, then they will definitely hire you. On to Vignesh now. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a last slide which I wanted to talk. Um, so yeah, see, as Sai has already told you where you can apply for jobs off campus. This is one more website you can apply for jobs as well. But big shift, and jobs in this particular website are like very, very high deals. They even go to 13 or 14 CTC, even sometimes more than that. But the minimum demand is 1 year experience. So as I've already told that mass placements, even you get into a mass placement company, if you work there for 1 year, from that if 1 year particular experience, you can apply, for other companies in this big shift portal. So then, your recognition becomes much better. But yeah, so you can apply jobs in this big shift portal, but the minimum requirement is experience of 1 year.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. So some of the biggest myths in placement is that your resume will get your job. It is somewhat true, but there's a catch behind it. On-campus placement depends upon you clearing your coding test before the interviewer ever gets to see your resume. And if you're trying to apply off-campus, your resume is important, but usually they also have a prelim test, and your resume will pass through a computer software before it reaches the interviewer. So the best option that you have is to sharpen your skill set and build a good profile simultaneously and together. We are living in the most amazing times that you can do almost anything at the convenience of your own house. Some of the best opportunities can be availed right now, and all of them can be done from your house that you can use to build a solid profile. Here's a couple of tips and tricks that you can use. One, you'll be obviously doing a lot of college projects. Try to polish your projects, and then you can add it to your resume. You can also present this in a virtual project fair, which happens online, for giving it much more weightage to your resume. And they also give you with certificates for participation. And if you win, that is a added bonus. The other thing that you can do is you can attend quality online workshops, conferences, or webinars. These will improve you as a person, and they also provide certificates. So again, that is a weightage for your resume. Coursera has also one amazing platform, and it has some really good online courses that is also widely reputed. So if an interviewer finds you that you have a good Coursera course and you finished it fully, then they are obviously going to value your resume a little bit more. So now that you've grabbed all these opportunities, now it is time to format all of your achievements into a document. It is very monumental that you have a very clean template and not very cluttered. Okay, you don't need any special template from or online software. You can MS Word is very much enough, and that's how I've done my template. Just make sure that your ordering is very important. Like for some of these events will be timeline basis, where you put the recent ones at your top. For the other for other things like projects or publications, put your most valuable ones above the lesser valuable ones, and have a one line very brief description, but don't overdo it. So your resume becomes like 3 to 4 pages. Do not do that. Try to keep it very short with one is optimal. 1.5 pages is okay. This is also very important. Your brief paragraph is very important when you're applying for off-campus placement, because when in this brief paragraph, you can add a lot of keywords that is pertaining to that project or pertaining to that paper or any other achievement. So all of these keywords will weight your resume on the computer software which you use to apply off campus. So speaking of on-campus and off-campus resumes, there is quite a difference between them. On campus, you'll be using the same resume for applying to all other companies. Once you upload it to the campus interaction portal, it will be forwarded to all the companies that you apply to. So you can't really specialize this resume. So it has to be general. Make sure that you mention only the most important projects, only the most important achievements that you've done. So you don't overdo your resume. Add all popular certificates that you've done on Coursera or some other really good participation certificates that you've achieved. Add all your skills and achievements that you think you're very fluent in. So this pertains only to on-campus placement. When you're applying off-campus, you have the facility and capability to select which company you're applying and for what role. In all those cases, use a very specialized resume that only pertains all your achievements to that job or role. Domain specific projects that you've done. Let's say you're applying for a machine learning role at a different company. So what you should be doing is you should only include projects that you've done in machine learning and not web development. Add very particular courses and job specific skills that you possess. This will make sure that you are the best fit for that role, and it will also be easier for the computer software to rate your resume above the others. Here are other possible and popular resume questions that I've been asked recently. What is the toughest part of this project? This is a very common question that an interviewer might ask you. Let's say you've done a project, make sure that you know from the top to bottom of whatever you're adding into your resume. It is going to be very critical, and you would look like a scammer if you include stuff that you don't fully understand. How was this course? Can you summarize? This will apply for all online courses that you've done. Explain where you had to show this leadership skill. So if you have something like you were part of a technical fest, or you were organizing something, or you worked on a group or team project, this question is going to be very common. Can you tell me a bit about this, and what was your contribution to internship? And the questions will go further in depth only from there. That will depend upon what you add in your resume. So be very clear and completely understand what you're adding. If possible, practice this with yourself or somebody else on how to answer each of these questions and more. The other very, very important question, and very frequently that I keep being requested from other people, is that what projects to do? How do I decide what to do? Here's the answer. It is completely up to one's individual interests. Don't do projects for the resume part. So plan A is to be do whatever you like to do and achieve that over the course of time by putting all of your passion and dedication into that. Or plan B, screw that. You can always specialize your resume to look like something else, even if it does not interest you, if your only aim is to get a job. In which case, the following tips will apply. 1, innovate. Don't just use GitHub projects. Please do not include another drowsiness detection project. This is so common that everybody has at least 1 or 2 variants of it on their resume, and no interviewer wants to ask questions about that. So include something that nobody else has done. Do something that is completely different from what others are done. To know that, have a look at the other project online resumes or network at hackathons, so you can find out what is being common and what is uncommon. Do something that have a project that solves real world criteria. If you have very innovative ideas and you can implement it very well, then your resume will be much more capable than the others. So that is all about what you should do with a resume and how to build a good resume. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat box. Now continuing with aptitude and quants.
Okay, guys. So the next thing which we are going to talk about is aptitude and quants, which is probably your least favorite part about placement preparations. Like, I've been there, even I've attended the same soft skills classes. But trust me when I tell you that they're really important. Next slide, please. Yes. So many people are under the impression that only service companies ask these sort of questions from aptitude. But that is not the case. This year, top companies such as Amazon, Oracle, Dell, Society General, Walmart, Techion, and so on, all of them asked questions from aptitude. So this was kind of the deciding factor because many people know how to code in DSA. For Amazon, over 3,000 people wrote the test, but only 30 people got through for the interview stage. And the decider was not the coding questions or the debugging questions. It was going to be the psychometric questions and aptitude, which made a huge difference when it came to Amazon. So to demonstrate an example, I'm going to show you one of the questions which we faced during our Amazon questions, which came in the aptitude section. Next slide, please. So this is going to be a logical aptitude based question, and it's going to be a simple puzzle. So here is a question which we got. 8 people are sitting around in a circular table facing the center, and each one of them is of a different profession: chartered accountant, columnist, doctor, engineer, and so on, and not necessarily in the same order. After this, they're going to give you 13 or so clues to help us understand who is going to be sitting in which position. So you might be looking at this and wondering, okay, this can't be that hard, right? I mean, all you have to do is work out, draw a diagram, and figure out who's sitting where, and then solve the question. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to aptitude, there'll be 30 questions or so, which you have to solve in around 40 to 45 minutes. So this sort of question you should be able to answer within maybe 8 or 9 minutes. So following this, they're going to ask you questions such as this: who is sitting second to the right of E? Who amongst the following is a professor? And so on. So in order to be able to answer these questions, you need to be able to draw the complete diagram. So the first step you're going to do is to obviously draw a circular table, right? So now let us look at the first condition which they have given. F is sitting second to the left of K. So one thing you got to understand is you can start anywhere. Now F can be in any one of these positions because it is a circular table. So we are going to put it in this condition, in this place as shown over here. Now we can see that K is going to be to the right of F, right? Because F is sitting second to the left of K. So imagine you're sitting in F's place and think about where you'll be 2 spaces to the right. And that is why you're going to put K. So now we have finalized 2 positions. Now we'll move on to the next condition, which is the scientist is an immediate neighbor of K. So now there are 2 possibilities, right? It could either be on the right side of K or on the left side of K. So we're going to draw 2 parallel diagrams and we're going to work our way forwards from here. This is a very important step because let's say that you go along one route and you keep going all the way to the end and you don't get the answer, you'll be at a loss as to where you are supposed to continue. So it's always a good practice to draw a second diagram and keep in such conditions. Now the third condition which they had given us is, next slide, Vignesh. There are only 3 people between the scientist and E. So we can clearly see that there's only one position where E can come, right? Because 3 people to the left of the scientist is going to be here and to the right of the scientist is also going to be at that 7 o'clock position. Now let us do the same thing for the second diagram as well. Now we'll move on to the next condition. Only one person sits between the engineer and E. Now we have a problem. Because if you think about it, the engineer can be either on the left side of E or on the right side of E, right? So you're going to have 2 cases for the first diagram and 2 cases for the second diagram as well, which I've represented with the pink marks over here. So the engineer can be either at 11 o'clock position, the 4 o'clock position, or the 7 o'clock position, or the 2 o'clock position in the diagrams. So now you'll start to get confused. Okay, there are 4 ways I can go. What am I supposed to do? Now let us take a very simple approach. Let us just stick to one position and we're going to work our way till the end for that one. And if we encounter a condition which cannot be solved, then we're going to backtrack to the previously best known condition and try in a different configuration. All right. So we are going to take the engineer in the 11 o'clock position as the right condition and move on to the next step, which is next slide, Vignesh. The columnist is to the immediate right of the engineer. So imagine you're the engineer. Which position is to your right? The 9 o'clock position, right? So you're going to put the columnist over there. And now we'll move on to the next condition. And the next condition here is M is second to the right of K. So you're going to put M in the 12 o'clock position, right? Because imagine you are K and you move 2 steps to the right. So that is where M is going to be. So now the next condition is that the scientist is H. So we are going to put H next to a scientist, and that is it for this condition. Now we'll move on to the next step, which is G and J are neighbors of each other. So if they're immediate neighbors of each other, they have to be sitting next to each other, right? So if you look at the diagram, there is only 2 places where that can happen, and that is the engineer and the columnist. So we're going to put G/J for both of them because we're not sure which could come where, but we are sure that those 2 are the places where they should come. So now we'll go to the next condition. And the next condition is where we have our first problem, and that is G and J are not engineers. So now what can we do? Guys, if you know the answer, can you reply in the chat? Let's make this a bit more interactive. Is it possible to directly remove the engineer from the 11 o'clock position and put it in the 5 o'clock position? Is that possible? Well, the answer is we can't, because the other conditions were based on that particular condition, which was the engineer. So we'll have to backtrack all the way to the previous position and put the engineer in the 5 o'clock position. And then we're going to repeat the same story again. We're going to do the next couple of steps, which we had done for the previous case, and we're going to see if we get another error. So now let's just jump forward a few steps. We are going to put the columnist to the right of the engineer again. M is second to the right of K. So again, M is in the 12 o'clock position. And then H is a scientist. So again, we're going to put H over there. So we are going to keep doing the same process again and again. And now we can see that G and J are immediate neighbors of each other, and both of them are not engineers. So it looks like the condition is satisfied, right? So we can move on to the next condition, the 10th one. The financial analyst is to the immediate left of F. So that means that E is the financial analyst in this case. The lawyer is second to the right of the columnist. So that means M has to be the lawyer. So far, so good. So the next condition. The professor is an immediate neighbor of the engineer. So we have to give the professor F because K is already taken by the columnist. And now for the final condition, G is second to the right of the chartered accountant. Once again, our condition will fail over here because however you look at it, the chartered accountant has to be one of G and J. So since that is not the case, since there'll be less than 2 gap between the two, we can conclude that that condition failed as well. So now we're going to try the third condition, which was engineer in the second diagram, and we're going to disregard the first diagram altogether. Once again, we're going to continue the same steps which we did for the previous cases, and we'll again realize that we run into a situation where G and J are immediate neighbors of each other, but neither J or J is an engineer. So once again, this condition fails as well. So what that means is we have to go with the fourth configuration which we had for that initial diagram. So you can see why this is so important, right? Like if you didn't have an organized way of solving the problem, you are definitely going to run into errors over here and you're going to waste a lot of time. So if you have a systematic approach where you draw parallel diagrams and try the same thing, you'll eventually hit the right answer within the allotted time gap. So now we'll again try the same steps. So only one, the columnist, M is second to right of K. So all the same steps are going to repeat for this configuration. And we'll realize that all the conditions are being satisfied when we go with this particular configuration. So once we finally solve this, we are able to get all the conditions appropriately. Each of the 8 letters have a profession as well. And this is the final diagram. So based on that diagram, you can answer these 5 questions and you'll be able to score the full marks on this. So whenever you see a question like this, don't panic, because chances are if you're not able to solve this, you won't be able to make it to the next round. So spend some time practicing such cases. Like this is one such case which I solved, and you can understand why it might be difficult in an exam scenario. So it is really important to be able to practice this and go with a clear head. So other than this, go to the next slide, please. Other than this, there are some other questions which can be asked, like odd man out, number series, encoding and decoding, seating arrangement, and so on. So these sort of questions you can practice in certain sites, and I will let Shankar explain that in detail after this. So Shankar, over to you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
you are.
Okay. So the next part of our aptitude stuff. So as Robin had said, majority of the super dream companies look into aptitude, but some of them don't like go in deep into the verbal or quant side. But this is not the case for any of the mass placements. So your quantitative aptitude and the verbal aptitude play a major role. So now coming to the quants part, so we have, as you can see, there's a gradient between the top topics as well as the bottom topics, right? So the ones marked in green, like are the majority of the ones you will face during your aptitude part of your placement process. So we have number knowledge, which includes number systems, that is basic number theory, including algebraic expansions of each of the formulas. For example, a plus b the whole square is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So all those basic formulas you'll have to know so that you can solve the number knowledge questions. Others include HCF, LCM, divisibility. Next comes time, speed, and distance. This plays a major role because time, speed, distance, if you're thorough with this, the other topics such as trains or cars, or there's something called as boats and streams also, right? You can see the last topic over here, boats and streams. So if you are thorough with your time, speed, distance topic, then pretty much you can solve these, because we'll be facing some problems based on relative speed as well. Like if two objects are moving towards each other or away from each other, what will be the relative speed? So if you're thorough with your basics, this is fine. Next comes probability, permutation, combination, simple, compound interest, etc. So like before we come into quantitative aptitude at all, we'll be like having a question. Why does the company ask the aptitude for us? They can just ask the coding questions or the domain questions and go off, right? One slide back, please. So yeah, so the thing is probability, permutation, combination and all play a major role. Like if you go for domain specific jobs such as data science, data related job profiles as well. So aptitude is not totally worthless because it proves that you can do your you're clear with your math concepts as well. So that's why companies keep aptitude as a major part of the recruitment process. So moving on, how we can solve these aptitude questions. So the next slide, please. So yeah, the first step is take the easy road first. You can see that majority of the people, like even us, even me in this case, like during the start, I'll probably go read a question. Like for example, there might be a word problem question based on trains or cars, speed, distance and all. But we won't know unless and until what type of question it is if you read the question. So if I see too many words, I'll probably skip it and go on to another problem. Like for example, the one which I said, which includes a squared plus b squared, something like that. But the thing is, sometimes those sums which have more words in it might be a simpler one, like because they might give you all the variables and directly you'll have to plug in into the formula and just get the answer, right? So it's pretty simple. But sometimes like questions such as like a one-line statement, like find the log of something, some random number. You might think it's easy, but doing the calculation for log is pretty hard. So go for the easy questions. That's why you'll have to read the question thoroughly first. So going on to the next slide. Hello. Yeah. So the good old rough note. So you remember in our school days, we used to have our teachers tell to draw a line between the page and on the right side of the page, do all your rough calculations, right? And after that, pretty much after college, we gave up all those practices. So, but still we'll have to go through this one even during this time, because doing your rough work on an extra piece of paper or a book which you have during your test might prove helpful. Like sometimes that is the test portal itself might give you notes or something like a notepad or calculator. But the thing is, you can't type it out the whole problem, do the calculations on that, right? So it's always good to have a good old rough note on your table and you can work out the problems. And going to the next step of this, you'll have to mark everything. So you will see most of the platforms will give you the ability to mark a question. That is, if you have attempted it or you do have a doubt on it, so you can go back to the other questions and come back to this one. So always mark your questions as completed or not completed or doubtful, so that when you finally complete your test and come for a review, you can still work on those questions if you have time. So mark everything and keep a note of all the questions you have now completed and not completed. So moving on to the next part. So yeah, not too slow, but steady wins the race. So many of these test portals don't give you, like, many of the tests are timed, right? So only few companies, few random RAS companies give you the freedom to attend different sections at different times, and there's no time limit at all. So, but majority of the cases is not like that. So they'll have a time section as well as the sections differ. Like, for example, you might have your quantitative most of the time at the start, but sometimes it might be logical. So if it's logical and verbal at the start, you're pretty much lucky, so you can finish off those quickly. But if it's quantitative at the start, so don't risk it. So don't be too slow also. So if you have a question, as I said, read it thoroughly quickly, and if you find it hard, go to the next question and come back to this one. So, and steady in the sense, read the question, be comfortable with do you know all the variables which are there given by the question, understand the question, but don't take too much time into thinking about the same question at all. So have a quick glance, then come back to the questions and see if you can solve it. And going to the next step. Yeah, so read everything. So this is actually important. So sometimes people try to like, for example, if you have the freedom of switching between sections, that's actually a plus point, because you can have a glance to all the sections and see which and all you can solve first. But read through everything as quickly as possible, because sometimes you might get stuck solving one particular hard question. But after that particular hard question, everything might be easy. So read everything at the start itself. Read which you can solve, make a note of those particular questions, solve them first. And sometimes don't skip a question, like check if you have gone through each of the numbers. So the next step, how do I get the answers though? So you have read everything, but you don't know the answers for each of them. So how do you get the answers for that? So keep in mind all these for quantitative part. So sometimes after you read the question, you might think, should I directly apply the formula? But after that, sometimes there might be a formula given, like, for example, these are the conditions. So if you read the question and you find the conditions which are given by the question, you can directly plug in those values. So check if it's a plugging in value kind of system, where you can just get the values from the options and plug into the formula and get the answer directly. So if that's the case, you are pretty much lucky. And plugging in values also has a particular step. So first you'll have to go for the fractions. So frozen is kind of a formula where you have fractions, rational numbers, other values such as exponential values or something, 0, and negative values as well. E and N are negative values as well. So if you try plugging each of those different values, like 0, 1, exponential values, negative values, and see if you can get the answer for that particular condition. So that is the order. The frozen order should be always followed. So, and if people who are preparing for GRE, if you're going to give a shot at placements also, you're pretty much lucky, because you would have learned all this in your GRE coaching or any other competitive exam preparation. And the process of elimination, like, for example, you have a problem which has a variable of 10 decimal places, like 7.863, blah, 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 something like that. So the thing is, try to shorten these values to at least 1 or 2 decimals and try plugging in the values and see which, probably using the process of elimination, you can find out which of these are similar to the value which you already got. So instead of plugging in the whole value into the formula and calculating it, just round it off and plug in and try to eliminate the other possibilities if it's not the given value. And when it comes to geometry, mensuration kind of problems, always draw the diagram, because sometimes triangle related diagrams or graphs might not be accurate on the that is on the exam portal, because just an image. So try to draw out a rough diagram quickly as possible on your rough note and see if it matches as per the diagram expectations given by the question. And read the labels. This is most important for geometry, mensuration, as well as tabulation and graphs as well. Because graphs, sometimes you might see the bar, like for example, take the bar graph. It might be given in percentages, but quickly you do the calculation, but sometimes you might mismatch the labels. So read the labels of each of those bar graphs, write it down and check if you have done the calculations and percentage calculations, particularly for each of those graphs, and you might probably get the answer. So please keep in mind all of these. And going on to the next slide. So yeah, our quantitative part is over, and next comes the verbal section. So pretty much if you're done with, if you're good with your vocabulary, verbal section is a clear, short, straight plus point for you, because it's pretty much easy if you're good with your vocabulary. So these are the questions in the exact order of the gradient. So sentence errors, syllogisms, statements, assumptions, conclusions are more frequent than you expect, as well as synonyms and antonyms. So if you are good with your meanings and opposites, you are pretty much straight through this particular section. And comprehension. So comprehension is a part where you read a particular paragraph and multiple questions are given based on that particular paragraph, similar to the puzzle problem which Robin had explained. So moving on to the next slide. So here are a few tips and tricks which you can follow for mainly for the comprehensive part. So before you start, like any comprehensive part, never ever start reading the paragraph at the start. Read the question, because it might give you a hint to where the actual answer is. So I might say in the conclusion what the author really wants to mean, and probably what the author meant in his synopsis, or something like that. So if you read the question, you might get a hint on where the direct answer might be. Next is read the intro and the conclusion, because as I said, majority of the part, the answers might be either at the start or at the end. As I said, if the question asks something like, what does the author really conclude, or what is the final, if it's something related to a movie or something, what happened in the final scene, something like that. So always read the intro and conclusion at the start, after reading the question, that is. And mainly questions might be based on names or an important date, or what did that person do, what is she doing, something like that. And based on locations as well as etc. other stuff like what is the famous diamond explained over here, so something like that. So those keywords, names, dates, verbs, locations, something like that. So look out those keywords and mark them out. So because if you read the question next time, what is the name of this person, you can directly check out that marked value and plug it in over there. And sometimes guesswork also helps. Like for example, guesswork in the sense not just random inky pinky pocky guess. So like for example, if you have a word which is like for example, there's a question asking a meaning of a particular word. A particular word has something that is called as a root word. A root word is like for example, passive, impassive, right? So IM, so important, or passive, IMPASSIF, right? So that root words or something like that. So either predecessors or root words might help you to find the meaning. Like for example, if you know one root word, you can find a word which has that particular root word plus something like ing or something like that. You can find the direct meaning out of the guesswork itself. And if that particular meaning is there in the options, you can directly go for that. So sometimes guesswork helps, and guesswork helps only if you refresh your vocabulary. So if you are a person who is into IELTS, GRE, TOEFL, and you've been preparing for that, you have nothing to worry about because you have been working throughout building your vocabulary over there. But for others, like if you have few times, like download few of the free apps which are there, like vocabulary building apps, and probably go through your vocabulary, something like that. And next, I'll probably tell about the few sites where you can prepare from. Next slide, please. So these are the many resources that we had followed for our preparations. That is, Face Prep is actually, you know, our face, right, at our soft skills in VIT. So Face Prep is an actual good site where you can look at the syllabus of different companies, as well as what are the particular quantitative aptitude sections, as well as each section wise questions might be there. So and as well, you know, Geeks for Geeks, right? Geeks for Geeks and Sand Foundry has helped us throughout our VIT journey, right? So Geeks for Geeks and Sand Foundry also have MCQs on different topics, so you can look up MCQs and practice there also. Freshers Live is something similar to Freshers World and Sand Foundry, where they put MCQs on different topics. Study Tonight is basically both technical as well as non-technical, because technical you can learn C, C++, Java, Python, etc. from Study Tonight, the basics of it. But I would recommend Geeks for Geeks for majority of whatever you have to prepare for your placements. And if you're a bookworm who's into reading books and not into online stuff, you can probably download a PDF or buy one of these books, that is Quantitative Aptitude. For me, this personally helped me in clearing a lot of quantitative aptitude sections, as well as logical reasoning. You can go for it too if you want to just brush up your logical skills. And next, we have Lokesh, who is a core student who has been placed in many mass placement companies, to explain about his experience over here. So handing it over to Lokesh.
Am I audible? Hello, am I audible, Shankar?
Yeah, Lokesh, you can continue.
Yeah. Hi guys. How many of you are from core departments? Can you just comment your departments, please? Like many of you, a lot of you guys would have been like afraid that like I'm from a core department. There's no way I'm gonna get selected in EC. A mass company. So. Yeah, don't worry, guys. If you just know the basics of how these these mass companies work, it's just going to be a cup of cake for you guys. So these are the companies that are visiting our. These are one of the major companies that are visiting our campus right now. Okay, I'll just talk about what are the important rules that you guys have to follow. The first thing is, as Shankar and Robin said, quants and aptitude. These are the gateways for getting into these companies. Not only these companies, any companies you apply for, you guys need to be good at quants and quants reasoning and aptitude. And the second thing I would say is projects. Do as many projects as you like. I mean, I made it a goal saying that I had to do a project every 2 months. And coming from a core background, projects I did were mostly embedded on related to robotics, but I made sure that the software part in them and the user interface in them were done very good, so that I can represent the projects both for a core job as well as a IT job. So make sure that your project is both good at the hardware side and the software side. So the next thing is your resume. Make sure it's very clean. Make it balanced so that you can represent it both for your core jobs as well as your mass recruitment jobs. The last thing I would say is your communication. Be confident, be bold. The first in as soon as you finish your uh, aptitude exams, the second round would be basically technical interview, where they generally test your technical knowledge. And you would be thinking, coming from a core background, so they will ask most questions will be related to my core background, but that is unfortunately that is not the case. They require only IT related stuff, so they ask only IT based questions. And prepare as long as you, just like you prepare for quantitative, you just start preparing for the MCQs in technical too. And yeah, basic coding knowledge is required for these companies. So coding would be very easy in this company. And yeah, so Ashar will be Ashwin Kumar is going to talk about the individual tests conducted in these companies. Ashar?
Yeah, hello guys. Now I'll just give a brief overview on how each online test is gonna take place for each of these companies. So let's start with Cognizant first. So Cognizant has four sections in their questions, like quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, verbal, and automata fix. Here, automata fix is basically your debugging and your coding section. Debugging is going to be, you can choose between two languages in Cognizant, is either Java or C++. So make sure that you know basic syntax for both of these, because the debugging will generally be only either like syntax errors or like changing a few variables. That's how it will be. So with Cognizant, there like you can get chosen for two profiles here, both Gen C and Gen C Next. So Gen C Next is the higher dream package, where you'll have to clear the automata. You'll have to score well on the automata fix to be considered for that. And to get into the Gen C, you need to get above the cutoff threshold on all of these four sections. So now next, let's look at the Infosys pattern. So unlike Cognizant, Infosys test is only for the regular placement. If you want for the dream, you previously have the InfTQ would be conducted, and if you had done well on that, you would be having the interviews for the dream packages. So Infosys has 5 sections: reasoning, mathematical, verbal, pseudocode, and puzzle solving. So on Infosys, what you have to take mostly focus on is the puzzle solving, because this is one of the trickier parts of the exam, because as 4 questions, and you have to get a you'll have to pass the sectional cutoff for this as well. So, and pseudocode sectional cutoff for that. Pseudocode is basically is just going to be, they're going to ask the output. Given a pseudocode, they're going to there'll be a multiple choice question where I'll have to select the right output. But on these, in Infosys, the mathematical ability would be much tougher compared to the other 3 slot 1 companies you get. So this test is going to be for 100 minutes. Now let's look at TCS. TCS NQT is going to be the longest regular company exam you are going to write, which will take about 3 hours. So TCS has the Ninja and the Dream package, where during the registration you'll have to select if you want to try writing the online test for the Dream package as well, which is the coding section, which is of 45 minutes. In TCS, there'll be multiple tests, like they'll give mock tests as well before you write the exam, which would be useful, because you'll have to check whether the platform actually works properly for you. So make sure that you attend the mock, so that you don't make any mistakes trying to log into the exam during the actual one, because if you go past the time limit, you cannot attend the exam at all. So in TCS, the main thing is that you'll have to wait the entire duration for each section. So basically, even if you finish the verbal ability section within 20 minutes, you'll still have to wait the rest of the 10 minutes before you can go on to the next one. So Capgemini. Capgemini is a slot 2 company which comes right after the slot 1. So even if you do get placed in a slot 1 company, don't miss out on writing the Capgemini exam, because even Capgemini has a dream profile of 6.8 lakhs. So even if you clear the coding round on this, you can write you will be eligible for the dream profile. So Capgemini is more bit special than the others, because unlike the others where you'll have to write all the sections together, like you'll have to attend all the sections to start the exam, Capgemini you'll have to clear like its sectional cutoff right away. So if you don't do well on the technical assessment and the pseudocode, your exam will stop right there. And basically, so after that, you'll be if you clear that, you can write the MCQ English-based communication test, which you'll probably breeze through because, well, it's just English. Basically, if you clear these two, you'll have aptitude test. This will take a while because there are like 6 parts in this, and each part is about 6 minutes long. And there's no like number of questions limit in this. This is basically going to be within six minutes, how much ever questions you can attend, you'll have to attend for each of these parts. And after, if you clear that, you can write the behavioral competency profiling. Behavioral competency is just in Capgemini, it's not a shortlisting criteria. It's just so that the company knows your tendency on how you work and all that. So a certain example would be they'll be giving a certain situation and they'll ask, they'll either be how would you react for this. They'd give 2 options and you have to choose one or the other, or they'd have a scale rating from 0 to 5, like very poor, not at all likely or highly likely. And if you complete all these 4 levels, you will later be called on for the technical and short interview. And let's move on to the MINDTREE one. So MINDTREE in VIT is a slot 3 company. So this will be happening right after Capgemini ends. So even this has 3 parts in it. You first initially write the aptitude test, and if you clear that, you can write the coding test. The psychometric test once again is just a behavioral check and not a selection criteria like shortlisting criteria. If you clear all these, you will be going to the discussion round and the interview rounds. So basically, in all these companies, the most important thing is that you in these exams, the most important thing is that you manage your time well, because all of these have like multiple questions. So if you focus your time too much on one of the questions, you won't have the time to write the other ones. So like for example, in the MQT test, once you attend a question, there's no going back. So you'll either have to make a choice of spending time on this or skipping it so that you'll have time for the rest of the questions. So now Lokesh would once again talk about his experience in the interviews of the next 2 companies, HEXAWARE and Larsen & Toubro. On Loki.
Thank you, Asham. HEXAWARE was one of the longest interview process which I attended. There are 2 aptitude exams and 3 technical interviews. So once you clear the 2 aptitude exams, there are actually 3 technical interviews where it happens in the consecutive days. Once you clear all these 3 rounds, you get to go to a HR round, and if you clear that, you would have gotten a mass recruitment job. If they are impressed in your profile, they will upgrade you to a dream offer of 6 lakhs. So again, you'll be going through a screen test in the dream package, where there are there's one aptitude exam and 2 more technical rounds, and then a final HR round. So I would say that HEXAWARE is a big long pattern. So you can learn the frequently asked questions in HEXAWARE like through different YouTube channels, and it would be helpful for acing this exam. And can I go for the next slide, please? So LTI is a mass recruitment company with the highest offering package in your college, I guess. So the initial first level, if you clear the first level, they give a 5 lakh LPA, and it's also upgradable to a dream offer of 6.5 LPA. So the first level just includes aptitude, verbal, and technical, and a psychometric test. And the technical questions just include basic OOPS, pseudocodes, algorithms, and basics of HTML. And SDLC, software development lifecycle, is a very important topic. So you guys should learn more about that and learn the models which are used in the software development lifecycle. And you'll be going through a paragraph writing, an essay writing exam. And once you finish that, you will be eligible for level 2. And in level 2 is a basic coding question, where if you just you have 45 minutes to for answering a coding question, and if you get the code right, you'll be eligible for the dream offer. But there is a drawback in this. If you clear the dream, if you clear the second round and go for the dream offer, and you'll be only sent for you'll get a technical interview only for the dream offer. You won't get another chance to attempt the first level like CTS. But so if you fail your technical interview in the dream offer, it's game over. You won't be able to go back to the 5 lakh LPA. So you guys have to choose be thorough with your technical aspects. And clearing the technical interview was very easy. They asked the basic questions, so it wouldn't be that hard. And HR round also was very easy, where HR round is basically not a screening test. Like you won't be eliminated during a HR round unless you mess it up very badly. So yeah, so this is the pattern followed in Lazen and Tabo. And yeah, I think next slide, please. Yeah, so these three are the basic rules you guys have to follow for acing your mass placement recruitment process. So just be confident with your aptitude, be thorough with your projects, and as I said, make sure that just as how much embedded or electrical is included in your project, make sure equal amount of software side is also included with it, and make sure you communicate well with the person interviewing you. Thank you. Akash?
Yeah, yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, Akash.
Okay. So, yeah, that brings us to the end of our final session here at Brevity. To all those who stayed till the end, thank you so much. You decided to spend your Sunday evening with us and for the betterment of your future. So, making videos and everything, it's something that we really had fun doing here at Brevity. It's not something that we thought we would do initially, but it's something that we eventually end up doing. So, and we also have our WhatsApp and Discord groups, as I said earlier. While I wouldn't call those two a massive success, at the same time, I also wouldn't call them a failure. What I would like to call them is a foundation that has been built for you juniors, and it's a foundation that we expect you guys to build upon and carry forward and to help out your juniors in return. So, if there is one thing that we all here at Brevity believe in, it is giving back. So, trust me when I say this, that there is no better feeling than hearing someone else say that you have impacted their life in a positive way. So, I would kindly suggest you all, to look this up, take this initiative that has been started by us forward, keep this going. And if you're interested in it, please reach out to us. And on that note, we end this session. I would also like to, wish you all the very best for your upcoming placements in 2021. And I hope each and every single one of you manage to get your super dream jobs. So if you have any questions for us now, we are ready to take them. You can put the questions in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and speak. Anything will do.
You're welcome, Agrawal Gunjan. We're glad to help you. If there's anything else, it can be asked now.
Okay, so one of the questions which you guys had asked is about placements. Like, is it different in VIT Chennai and VIT Vellore and Bhopal and Amravati? And the answer to that question is that all 4 campus placements happen simultaneously. So any company which does come to college, it will be open to all 4 campuses. So as you can imagine, the competition will be quite high from all 4 campuses. So VIT Chennai has done pretty well this time. Our batch has had quite a bit of success. So here are some of the numbers which VIT Chennai has published in their official LinkedIn page. So we have gotten 51 Super Dream full-time internship offers, 136 Dream offers, 94 internship offers, and yeah, the numbers are pretty good. And other than this, we also had many people who are placed in the mass companies such as CTS, Infosys, and TCS. And right now there were like 3,200 offers, out of which 2,100 offers were taken by the students. So these are the placement statistics which were requested by you all in the form. If there's any other question, feel free to ask us in the chat box. Ma'am, any closing words?
Yes, Robin, thank you very much, guys. Today's session is very interesting. Today, along with us, MTech Software Engineering HOD, Asnat ma'am also joined. Ma'am, are you in the line? Asnat ma'am?
She's muted, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Okay, guys, thank you very much. And keep going, and it will be very useful for your juniors.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.